Good evening, everyone. I, Neha Arora, Working Committee member of Wiki Ladies Organization, warmly welcome all of you and thank you for taking out the time to come and attend the wonderful session this evening. It's to have such eminent personalities from the world of business, sports, and theatre. Our esteemed speakers for this evening are Mrs. Neerja Birla, Ms. Shamal Walapji, and Ms. Nimrat Kaur. Mrs. Neerja Birla endeavors to reach out to various factions of society through her many initiatives and collaborations to empower them to lead better lives. She is the founder and chairperson of Empower, a movement to spread awareness about mental health, alleviate stigma, and provide quality care to all. Mr. Shamal Walapji. Mr. Shamal Walapji, also known as the monk who trains athletes, is a South African sports scientist and performance coach with 18 years of experience in high-performing sporting environments. He is an author of 4 books on sports, science, and motivation. He was the recipient of the Inc. Fellowship in 2013 and sports chair to the Australia-India Youth Dialogue. Awarded the Men's Health Trainer of the Year 2014, he is the Global Fitness Advisory Board member to Herbalife and is on the organizing committee of the United Nations Changemakers Conference. Born in Pilani, Rajasthan, Nimrat moved to Mumbai after her studies to begin her career in the world of print modeling. In 2009, Nimrat began stage acting with theatre veteran Sunil Shanbag in a musical at the Prithvi Theatre Festival. The film was Peddlers in 2012, produced by Anurag Kashyap. The film was screened at the 2012 Cannes Film Festival. She followed it with a breakthrough role in The Lunchbox, a critically acclaimed drama co-starring Irfan Khan, which was screened at the 2013 Cannes Film Festival. I request our chairperson, Ms. Minal Jain, to kindly welcome our eminent guest speakers. I would now request Ms. Minal Jain to kindly come and give her opening remarks.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. You just saw how an entire year was wrapped up in just over 5 minutes. Time is so relative. There were obstacles, there were doubters, there were confusers, but there were angels too, who declared that with hard work and persistence, there are no limits. I sincerely thank Neerja ji for taking out time from a busy schedule to be with us today. We are also honored to have Nimrat and Shamal amongst us. Your presence is our privilege. As a chairperson of FLO Jaipur, chapter, this journey accentuated with so many learning curves, dotted with beautiful people, tons of cherishable memories to be put into recurring fixed deposit, worked with so many creative but funny minds. Nonetheless, it's been an honor to be a part of this fabulous FLO family. Sometimes I wish I could press the rewind button and press pause for a while for the wonderful moments and inspirations. Our work this year revolved around our motto, Unlimited You, made us dabble into scores of events dealing with success, leadership, peer pressures, spirituality, emotional intelligence, and so on. Personal branding too. Introduction of UID cards, inaugural B2B meets and B2B sessions, skilling of 500 underprivileged women, 40 of them were empowered to start their own businesses, are some of the highlights of this tenure. We are also successfully conducted revalidation of all institutional memberships as per decisions taken by our past chairperson council. I'm sure our sincere intent to keep our members' aspirations at the core of programs and events have achieved its purpose, which I continuously sensed through their messages and personal interactions. At the end of the day, I firmly believe leaderships at FLO, through their conduct, must make an effort to inculcate a sense of belonging and participation in all our members. One of the objectives of Wiki FLO is also to recognize women achievers from various walks of life. Indian women, from Jhansi Ki Rani to PV Sandhu, they have all inspired millions. They are shining beacons of hope and have displayed exemplary dedication in their respective fields. Here are 9 Indian women who stood out with their sheer grit and determination and inspired us to be passionate, consistent, and hardworking. These women bring us hope that every woman has the potential to achieve whatever she wants. As Mother Teresa said, and I quote, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create ripples." Unquote. Thank you so much. Let's begin the felicitations.
It is an honor and a pleasure to announce the awards for the Outstanding Women Achievers. We are truly in awe of the life and work of these incredible role models. We hope their stories will inspire you and touch your hearts. I now request our esteemed speakers to kindly do the honors and present the awards. In alphabetical order, our first woman achiever is Hemlata Ji Singh. Hemlata Ji has been driving an auto rickshaw since the past 5 years. She has a diploma in music and is an excellent dancer. However, due to the color of her skin, she realized that she would never get the opportunity to dance in the front row. She was a target of domestic violence in her marriage, and so she filed for divorce and started looking for a job in order to support herself and her son. After getting a commercial license, she started driving an auto rickshaw. This was not an easy task. She was beaten up by fellow drivers, also damaging her auto. She is a fighter who has fought against all odds to earn her living proudly. Our next awardee is Ms. Kirti Jaikumar. Kirti is an activist, artist, entrepreneur, and writer from Chennai, India. She founded and runs the Red Elephant Foundation, a civilian peace-building initiative that works for gender equality, as well as Fine Print, a feminist e-publishing imprint. She has coded an app for survivors of gender-based violence called Sahas. Kirti was invited to Michelle Obama's United States of Women Summit in US and to attend President Obama's town hall at New Delhi. She is the recipient of the US Presidential Services Medal for her services as a volunteer to Delta Women NGO. She is the 2-time recipient of the UN Online Volunteer of the Year Award. May I request her, Mr. Rajendraji, to kindly accept the award on her behalf? Moving on, our next awardee is Manju Yadav ji. Hailing from Sundarpura village in Jaipur, Rajasthan, Manju ji and her 3 children fell on hard times after the death of her husband, who was a porter and the family's primary breadwinner. However, Manju stepped up and decided to become a porter as well. While this decision came as a shock to her family members and others, she soldiered on. 5 years later, her earnings fluctuate, but her determination is constant, and she has become a role model for women fighting patriarchy and poverty. Now we have our next awardee, Narmada Devi ji. Narmada Devi has been a pointswoman with the Indian Railways for the last 14 years. She discharges many important duties like repair of the tracks, flag signaling of trains, taking empty rakes away from the station and sending them for repairs. Even with a work shift of 8 hours, there is no fixed time for meals or tea breaks. They work 365 days a year with no national holidays to keep the trains running. नर्मदा जी, आपके कठोर परिश्रम और साहस के लिए आपको शत शत नमन। Moving on, our next awardee is Ms. Navika Kumar. Navika is widely regarded as the best investigative reporter in contemporary India. She is currently working with Times Now, an English news channel. She was previously working with the Indian Express in print media. When Bennett Coleman and Company decided to launch a news channel in association with Reuters, they were looking to find someone with wide contacts in the Indian political and business circles. They could not find a better option than Navika. She was approached and finally persuaded to accept the offer. Navika is well known for exposing many political and economic scams. Mr. Arvind will be receiving the award on her behalf. Mr. Arvind, Mr. Arvind is with Times Now. He is the bureau chief for Rajasthan. Thank you, sir. Our next awardee is Ms. Patricia Thomas. Ms. Patricia Thomas was married at the age of 17. Soon, her life took a downturn when she suffered abuse at the hands of a drug addict husband. She was left to fend for herself and her 2 children. Her passion for cooking fueled her will to survive. She started making jams and pickles at home, which her mother sold to her colleagues. She then set up a kiosk at the Marina Beach, selling juice, coffee, and snacks. With a journey spanning over 30 years, she took up catering contacts for corporates. When tragedy struck in the form of her daughter's death, she quit for 2 years, only to return to stand by her son. She set up her first restaurant named after her daughter Sandeepa. Today, the Sandeepa chain of eateries runs very successfully across Chennai. She also runs an ambulance stationed at Chengalpet, where her daughter died. Can we have a big round of applause for her? Poonam Soni is the pioneer of bespoke jewelry in India since 1989. In a journey of 26 years, she has made many unique collections like the Greek and Egyptian-based the Sistine Chapel. Her falcon brooch was auctioned by the Sotheby's for Prince Albert's charity. These collections created history when they featured in the collector's books along with the Jar and Van Cleef and Apples. She was also recently featured in the limited edition coffee table book by Rolls-Royce. She is now making waves in New York, where Michael Kors has endorsed her. In Michael's words, Soni brings an artist's eye for color, detail, and imagination for her magnificent one-of-a-kind pieces. Ms. Soni could not be here to accept her award. Her son-in-law, Mr. Suhail Bhatia, will be receiving the award on her behalf. Moving on, our next awardee is Ms. Priyanka Kumawat. Priyanka Kumawat is a renowned badminton player of Rajasthan. She has remained a champion among women badminton players from 2008 to 2017 in the under-19 category. In National Junior Badminton Championship, she won the silver in girls under-19 singles and bronze in doubles category, the first from the state to win these medals. In 2015, Priyanka made Rajasthan proud by winning gold in junior and senior North Zone championships. She has set a national record by winning consecutive golds in sub-junior, junior, and senior in state and North Zone championships. Now we have our next awardee, Ms. Usha Kiran. Usha Kiranji is the 27-year-old Central Reserve Police Officer of Bastar who has earned the title of Lady Singham. She is setting up a new image in the Maoist hotbed Bastar, from battling Maoists to protecting villagers from every kind of assault. With keen interest in sports, especially athletics, Usha Kiran became a national athlete of India, representing Delhi in the triple jump event many times. However, since the previous generations of her family all served the CRPF, she decided to continue this tradition and made it to the 80th Male Battalion in Chhattisgarh Range, a great achievement. She has been posted in Cobra Battalion 206 and as an assistant commander in the most dangerous Naxalite area. Usha Kiranji is one of the youngest women CRPF officers in India. I would now request all of our award winners to kindly come up on the stage for a group photograph. I would now request Ms. Neerja Billaji to please give her special address to the audience.
Do I have to stand on this? Good evening, dear ladies, and the few gents that we have here. It's a real pleasure to be here. It's my second time at the FLO Jaipur chapter, and it's even more special. So thank you so much, Minalji, for inviting me. It's extremely inspiring to see all the award winners. I think each one of the ladies here has a truly inspiring story, and I really applaud each one of you. It's really lovely to see the spirit and the grit and the determination, and really is a hallmark for all of us to follow. Over all the decades, as we all know, FLO has always encouraged and promoted entrepreneurship and the professional excellence amongst all the women all over the country. And I think the number of lives that you all have touched and continue to touch is truly commendable. I'd like to wish you all the very best. It's been an exceptional tenure seeing the photographs. So all the very best for your future endeavors. And congratulations to the incoming president, Natasha ji, as she takes on the mantle of the FLO president. So when Meenal ji asked me to speak about Millennium Woman, the first question that actually came to my mind was that what is the Millennium Woman? Or rather, who is the Millennium Woman and what does she stand for? And that took me through a journey of a few thoughts. And I realized that from times immemorial, actually, women have been conditioned into believing that they are the weaker sex. Their outer beauty has been applauded and celebrated, no doubt, but their inner beauty has always been ignored. They've always been made to feel uncertain and insecure of themselves and underconfident of their bodies, abilities, as well as intelligence. In fact, they've often been just made to believe that they belong to the kitchen, and their very place in society has been questioned. It's always been drilled into them that they have to just silently bear with the way things are because they are destined to do so. Even on the work front, traditionally, women have not been taken really very seriously, and they've always been considered to be more suited to the menial jobs. The level playing field really is still not quite as equal as it should be. The balance is still quite heavily tilted in the favor of men. Working Indian women are still underestimated. They still have to constantly deal with gender bias and sexism, lack of opportunities, and unequal pay, and even age-related discrimination. As we all know that women are also frequently subjected to sexual exploitation and harassment, I think objectification of women has always prevailed through history and continues to do so. I think all of us here have been subjected to some form of eve-teasing or the other and have had to deal with rude and unsavory comments at some point in time. But having said all of this, I think it's really heartening to see that mindsets are really shifting. They are changing. In some places quite rapidly, and in some others slowly, but most definitely. So that itself is quite heartening now. As Margaret Thatcher has said, any woman who understands the problems of running a home is nearer to understanding the problems of running a country. And I think that has truly been well said. And women are now exactly doing that in recent decades. From being only domesticated homemakers, they have reinvented themselves and are becoming more and more of what they wanted to be, while continuing to be homemakers par excellence. So therefore, coming back to the seed question, what or who is the Millennium Woman? So in my opinion, I believe that the Millennium Woman is a go-getter who chases the dreams she has dared to dream. She is someone who is comfortable and confident in her own skin. She is talented and motivated. She believes in herself and fights for her rights and what she believes in. She is someone who refuses to be disrespected or taken for granted. She is an equalist who believes that men and women should have the same opportunities. So when we speak of Millennium Women, we're not only talking about the Gen X or the Youth Brigade, born before or around the turn of the century. The Millennium Woman is every woman of every age, of any age, from any walk of life, who wishes to empower herself. So the achievements of women in recent times have truly been remarkable. Today, women have begun to call the shots in every field, in every arena, be it business and industry, be it sports, be it arts, science, politics. Women are changing the way things are being done. They are showing how enterprising and innovative they can be and are making a mark in so-called male areas. To discuss a few, of course, apart from the ones that we have seen today on stage, we have people like Mary Kom, who again came from a very robust background, a difficult one, faced a lot of gender discrimination, and yet being in a sport like boxing, she's won the Olympics for us. Another male-dominated area of cricket, we saw Mithali Raj change the nation's outlook towards women's cricket and getting unprecedented interest in the female version of the game. We have Sumita Ghosh from Bikaner, yet another inspiring story. She started a community-based craft company called Rang Sutra, and today Rang Sutra works with over 35 groups of artisans from various states. 70% of these artisans, including women, are from the Manipur Women Gun Survivors Network and women from Madhya Pradesh who gave up scavenging to become artisans. So we have many such stories of grit and determination and inspiration. There was a time when all these were taboo for women. Their families would not allow them to even step out to pursue a career or earn money. But the scenario is changing. We also had times when women have gone through really tough times but have come out and emerged victorious. All this is not true just of the urban woman. Even women from rural parts of the country are enterprising beyond expectations. They are proving to be astute entrepreneurs. In fact, banks and microfinance institutions now prefer giving loans to women more than men. because women are just far more likely to pay back as compared to men, and they're even more innovative with their money. They actually use it to empower themselves as well as their families. And in all this, what is really worthy of admiration is that we working women still continue to be homemakers as well. We're learning to be more capable, more resourceful, and efficient. We're constantly multitasking, juggling work-related issues, stresses, deadlines, office politics, as well as the responsibilities of home, children, and the societal do's and don'ts. And I think all of us would still believe that even today, despite doing all of this, we women are still the glue that holds our families together. So in that sense, the Millennium Woman is each one of you. Each one of us has that in us. We all want to feel empowered. We all have the strength to follow the passion and be ourselves. So we must applaud ourselves and feel good about it. The time is now to achieve, to actively pursue our personal dreams and goals, and to set aside that little bit of me time for ourselves. Like they say on a flight, if the oxygen mask deploys in case of an emergency, put your own mask first before assisting a child or any other passenger. So also we have to realize that we've got so used to sacrificing our own needs for those of the family, very often we don't pay heed to our own mental health. As it is, gender plays a critical role in defining mental health. Women are different and far more prone to psychological disorders like anxiety, depression, and other such mental illnesses. So therefore, we must understand that our mental health is of prime importance. We must strive for a work-life balance that is fruitful and rewarding, both mentally and emotionally. If there is a serious mental health concern, we must not ignore it. We must seek help. Mental issues are not the stigmatized monstrosities that they used to be. Counseling, therapy, medication can cure it or at least alleviate the mental concern. We don't have to live with these struggles of day-to-day life. We don't have to fear the stigma. We have the right to look after ourselves and to feel good about ourselves. The trailblazing rise of the feminist movement has helped create the Millennium Woman. Regressive misdeeds and mindsets can only be rooted out by a movement that is of the women, by the women, and for the women. Which is why women from all walks of life are actively speaking out against inequality and prejudice. The power of the social media and hashtags needs to be really acknowledged as well. They have been instrumental in helping the Millennium Woman to be heard. And what really matters is that the world is listening. Take the example of the hashtag #MeToo campaign. It's been a collective catharsis, a rallying cry for women across the globe, with women everywhere speaking out openly and boldly against sexual harassment and exploitation. It has given the world an idea of the magnitude of these horrific violations. It is our collective responsibility as a society to ensure that this incredible journey of the Millennium Woman is sustained and becomes a way of life. Men must lend their support wholeheartedly in emancipating and empowering women. They have to understand that there has to be a change of guard. The future is inconceivable without absolute gender equality. But before anything else, we as women, and I truly think this is what is extremely important, we must think of ourselves as equal as men. We no longer have to live with inequality and indiscrimination. We don't have to make the sacrifices we have made in the past out of a sense of duty. Within reason, it is our basic human right to do what we wish to do with our lives and follow our dreams and passion. And to ensure absolute gender equality in the future, we must educate and bring up our children believing in gender equality. Boys must be made to believe and understand the true meaning of gender equality and respect women. Girls must be taught to never ever fall prey to the conditioning that women are the weaker sex. Let's consciously stay away from stereotyping and gender discrimination. Women need to will themselves to be strong at all times so that our daughters will have a role model to look up to and will know and our sons will know what to look for a woman when they grow up. It doesn't matter how old we are or what our backgrounds are. Shades and streaks of the Millennium Woman have always been an intrinsic part of each one of us. Maybe in our younger days, maybe in a couple of years ago, we were more conditioned, more submissive. We adhered without protest to the old ways of thinking. But thankfully, we're letting go of those mindsets now. We are learning to be authentic to ourselves. Let us put past our experiences as subjugated gender to good use as change makers for the future. Let us endeavor to change society so that the Millennium Woman within each one of us reaches the pinnacle of her potential. Let us all put our hands together in celebration of the Millennium Woman and pledge that we will stand up for ourselves. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you, Neerja ji. All of us, the Millennium Women, are greatly inspired by your examples and words, and we now know that standing together and speaking out creates true power. May I request Mr. Vallabhji to kindly address the audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having me here. Minal, it's been quite an amazing year. Sorry, I'm going to repeat a little bit of what Neerja said. Her words are, it's very difficult to follow that. To all the recipients who've got awards, your stories are truly remarkable. And when I've been in the country full time for about 6 years now, and when I look at that, I think my one regret is that I haven't learned enough of the vernacular languages to be able to tap into the knowledge that they have. And when I was listening and sitting there, that was probably my deepest regret. And I hope that a year from today it won't be. So I'm going to endeavor to do that. Minoji asked me to speak about champions. And some of you know I'm a sports scientist. And I'm going to, I think I prepared a few notes, but I think I'll tell you all a few stories instead, because stories resonate best with us. The one thing that I find really similar between women entrepreneurs or women who are pursuing a challenge in any shape and form and the world of sport is that in the world of sport, the margin for error is minuscule and the penalty for failure is extremely high, which is actually the world you live in, unfortunately, isn't it? You judge very harshly. And so there's a lot of similarity with that. If I bring this to context in the world of sport, okay, the difference between, how many of you watched the Olympic Games? Anyone? Let me ask a question. Who won the 100-meter final in Rio? Anyone knows? 100 meters? Anyone? So generally people scream out Usain Bolt, which is correct. Okay? And if I ask this question, going back 3 Olympics, the answer is exactly the same. And when I ask an audience who's come out second, no one knows. Okay? But the difference between 1 and 4 in the Olympic Games in any event is 0.5%. In the 100-meter finals, that's 1/100th of a second. So if I ask you to blink your eye once, it takes you 3/100ths of a second to blink your eye. So if you blinked at the wrong time, 4 people went past the finish line. There's a good chance you wouldn't know who was first. So that's the difference in the world of sport. Okay. Now, how do you become a champion in this world is the integral question, isn't it? We're dealing with a psychology that's quite unique. An athlete has to walk onto a field, okay, thinking he's the best. Sometimes his level of self-confidence has to be so high that it's bordering on arrogance. But I need him to do that. I need him to walk onto the field that confident. But I need him to step off to the field extremely, extremely humble, because without humility, you don't learn. You know, all learning comes from humility, because you need to be open to it. Okay? So we're moving between these two worlds. Okay? As Nirja said, there aren't enough women in every field. And that's a fact. Do you know why that's a fact? Okay, I'll tell you why it's a fact. Because in most countries, 50% of the population are female. In Europe, it's even more in certain countries. Okay? Now, focus is a word that's defined by what you're looking at. Okay? Perspective is a word that's defined by where you're looking at it from. Okay? Now, if 50% of our population are female, okay, and only 10% of the decision makers represent that population, we've got a problem. You've got a problem. So, having women in empowered positions in every single field is not just the right thing to do, it's actually the smart thing to do. You know? So, this is what I sincerely believe. And this is why I think that every single one of you who are doing your bit to move society forward, to empower every little child, whether it's in sport or in entrepreneurship, okay, the world owes you a bit of debt. Nah. So, the speaker, when they introduced me, they said that I'm the monk who trains athletes. So let me explain that a little bit. I used to be a sports scientist focusing purely on training. I trained athletes only physically, looked in nutrition a bit. And early on in my career, after training someone for months, I'd realized that one of my batters, walking into bat, a player would just chirp him or sledge him, as is commonly said, and he'd go out, and 6 months of work is gone. He'd nick the first ball and he's gone. He's out. So I thought it was really, really unfair that all the work you'd put in is completely gone in a split second because your mind is weak. So I thought, how can I learn to strengthen my mind? Where can I learn to strengthen my mind? So if you want to correct your batting technique, you'll find a great batting coach. If you've got a cardiac problem, you'll go to a cardiologist. Okay? But the psychiatrist was diagnosing problems. He wasn't strengthening the mind. Okay? So that's why I became a monk. I decided to become a monk because I moved into an ashram, because I believed that spiritual leaders and gurus dedicated their entire life to strengthening the mind. And I thought, who better person to teach me how to strengthen my mind than them? And I moved in, and I lived in an ashram for 3.5 years. And I'll tell you a few stories, because those were some of the best days of my life. It was extremely difficult and extremely hard, but it was. The first thing that I'll tell you is, has everyone heard the butterfly story? Anyone heard the butterfly story in the room? One. Okay. I'll tell you the butterfly story. A man walks into his garden. Have you all heard it? A man walks into his garden and he sees a cocoon. He sees a little butterfly struggling to come out of it. Okay, a few of you have heard it. I'm going to repeat it for those, so please bear with me. And the butterfly is struggling and he's feeling bad. So he goes away and he comes back 3 or 4 hours later and he sees the butterfly still struggling again to come out of that cocoon. So he's starting to feel really, really bad, but he goes away. And he comes back again after about 4 hours and he sees it really struggling. So in an effort to help this butterfly, he takes a pair of scissors and just clips the bottom of the cocoon, and the butterfly comes out quite easily and it falls in his hand. And when he opens his hand, he notices that its body was fat and its wings were thin and slightly deformed. Okay. And what the man didn't realize is that the butterfly struggling to come out of that cocoon is nature's way of it pushing all the fluid into its wings so that it'll be able to fly. You see, that struggle that that butterfly had to go through is what makes it so beautiful. And the reason I love the story is because it teaches us that a good leader is someone who can identify the struggles that will make you a better person. Okay? That's what a good leader is. Okay? And they help you through that journey. Now, when I went into the ashram, I had a spiritual master, and a spiritual master helped me on my progress. Okay? And the question I keep looking at is, in all our learnings, wherever we go in life, we need someone to guide us. But how do you know when you've got the right person? What are the characters that when you know you've found the right teacher or the right master, or if you yourself want to guide someone or want to help someone, what are the characteristics that you need? Well, the first and the easiest characteristic is actually competence, which means that you need to have the skill to teach that person what they want to learn. That's the first one. Okay. The second, also very easy one, is comfort. Is you need to have a comfortable relationship with that person where they can come and talk to you and you can speak to them. If there's any discomfort, learning is going to be inhibited. Okay. The third one is confidence. Okay. The person who you're learning from needs to be able to instill in you confidence that you are the best and that you can do what you want to do. If they can't instill confidence in you, then they can't help you. Okay? And if you can't instill confidence in the person that you're teaching, they can't help you. But the most difficult factor in a good leader is character. Okay? Character. The character of the person needs to be unquestionable. What does character mean? Character means that the person puts no other interest ahead of your development. Okay. Irrespective of money, of position, of rank, of whatever, the first thing that comes in his mind is your growth and your development. Okay. And to find someone with good character that does that is extremely difficult. And the reason I'm telling you this is because we may be leading others, or we may be looking for someone for guidance. These are the 4 factors that you need. Okay. Now, the reason I love working between sport and spirituality is because in sport I'm doing all the scientific diagnosis and I'm reading dissertations and publishing books and we have all the scientific jargon, but in spirituality we have beautiful anecdotes. You know, they're able to simplify things so beautifully that, you know, it just makes it easy. And these 2 worlds have never come together. So I'm trying to force them together. So for the last few years, I've been traveling to all the corners of India and sometimes across other countries, looking for really, really spiritual guys and learning lessons from them. And I'll give you an example. 8 months ago, I was sitting on the banks of Benares, okay, and I was talking to one of these agoris. Okay. So I'd go to Benares every 3 months, and I asked him after spending, literally it was 2 days that I'd been there for about 5 hours, and I asked him, please teach me how to control my mind. And he asked me, what is your favorite food? So I said, my favorite food is chocolate. So he says, have you tried to give it up? And I said, yes. And how long did it last? I said, it lasts about 2 or 3 weeks maximum, then I eat a little. So he says, why have you gone back and eaten it? So I said, because I'm an ultramarathon runner and I feel I'll burn anything I put in my body. I'll burn it. Okay. So he said, okay. So he says, sometimes you give things up because they're bad for your body. Sometimes you give things up because they're good for your mind. He said, a piece of chocolate is lying on the table. Okay. Your eyes have to see it. Your hands have to pick it up and put it in your mouth. If you can't control what you can see, how is it that you can control what you can't see? So he says, pick something simple. Yeah. So he says, pick something very, very simple, okay, and use that to train your mind more than anything else. Okay. The one thing I had so that was the beautiful lesson I learned from him. Then, traveling in, I was sitting with a Swamiji by the name of Radhanath Maharaj. He's in Mumbai at Chowpatty. Okay. And do you know what's common between all the people who we've come to celebrate today and all the champions that I have in the world, who I work with and who I admire? Do you know what's common between every single one of them? Every single person who we look up to. The thing that's common with all of them is that they're true to themselves. You know? We never admire someone who's copying someone else. You admire someone who is true to their own purpose. And Nirja said the exact same thing in her speech. Okay? So Radhanath Maharaj told me something really interesting. He says, when a radio is switched on, Radio 1 playing English music is on a certain frequency. Anything on Hindi music is on a certain frequency, isn't it? And if you want something, you tune into that frequency. So he says similarly, right, understand what is the frequency that you want to radiate, okay, and push out that frequency, okay? And everybody that you want to attract will tune into that. And everybody that you don't want, that's not interested will just pass by. But if you keep changing to everybody around you, you're going to be really, really distracted. And you're not going to find your own strength and your own core. And that's going to be a very, very big problem later on. Okay? So, exactly like how a radio station is, that's set. Right? Find what your balance is. Find what your core is. Okay? And tune into that. And work on it every single day. Okay? And the last point I think that I'll tell you is, with all my athletes who I've worked with, whether it's the South African cricket team or the Formula One drivers or the marathon runners, okay, you have to start trusting the process. And what do I mean by trusting the process? You know, we all want to grow, we all want to develop, we all want to become better people. And you understand what you want to do and you start doing that. And you have to trust it. I think the best analogy of this is, if you take a seed and you want to plant it, okay, you can put fertilizer in the ground, you can till the soil, you can make sure it's fertile, you can pick the perfect month of the year, the right climate. But there'll come a point in time when you put the seed in the ground that you can do nothing else except trust that everything you've done was right to give birth to that tree. Isn't it? So that's what trusting the process is. So understand what you want to do to become better, to become the best version of yourself, and trust that that will work for it. Because if you keep changing every day, you won't go anywhere. Okay. One of my favorite quotes, and I think I'll end with this one, is that we do not rise to the level of our hopes. We fall to the level of our training. Okay? And I tell this to my athletes every single day. So people want to know what makes champions? This is what it is. Everybody wants to dream. You know, males, females, girls, boys, CEOs, entrepreneurs, even people who've got 10 billion are dreaming of things bigger. Everyone's dreaming. Okay? But we don't rise to that. We fall to the level of our training, which means how much of work are we actually putting in to achieve that. And that's the distinguishing difference between what I have seen someone become as a champion and everyone else. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Shamal. As women, firstly, thank you for making us all feel like champions. We really enjoyed your stories and will surely try to imbibe the leadership qualities and processes from them. May I now welcome Nimrit to please come on stage. Yeah.
Hi. Is this working? Can you all hear me? Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Shamal and Nirja. Such beautiful, eloquent words. I'm a nervous wreck right now. This is the first time I'm taking this stage as a public speaker. I'm a good chatter. I can do a discussion, but this is a first. Hence all these scribbles on my flight here today. Honorable Chairperson, Ms. Meenal Jain, distinguished committee members of the FLO family and all present here today. First of all, my heartfelt gratitude for having me here. It's wonderful to be back in Rajasthan. It's my home state, my birthplace. I can never have enough of it. Thank you. Along my limited experience and journey in this life so far, I don't quite recollect nor can define that one moment which allowed me to graduate from being a daughter of the services, growing up in small towns and satellite cities, to being addressed as an eminent guest speaker. So this is a big deal. Thank you. The thought of this, this task itself made me recoil, and I got a little bit nauseous as I imagined standing isolated, and in this case today sitting. I've sprained my ankle. I chose to wear my heels. I said I'll sit and talk. You see, priorities. So yes, I was extremely nervous, and wasn't sure of how this was going to go given the number of eyes and what's worse, ears on me. The fear of being completely exposed about my lack of linear, focused public speaking skills, and my dizzying fear of blanking out engulfed me. You see, we're very used to being given dialogue sheets and lines, so we have someone to blame when things go wrong. Here it's just me and my words, so let's see how this goes. So now that I have successfully and gently managed to slip in my disclaimer, so that I can come to an I told you so in case I meander and fumble for my subsequent thoughts. Allow me to tell you what changed my mind. It happened in the moment when I was told that I have to speak on We Are All Achievers. Something very simple, yet a little complicated and open to many interpretations. And that actually had me starting from the basics, which was look at what being an achiever meant in the dictionary. So I went to our best friend Google and tried to figure out what it meant. According to the Oxford Dictionary, it means a person who's achieved a high or specified level of success. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, it means someone who's very successful in their job. Fair enough, and very simple, but I found it a little bit limited and inapplicable for a number of people who I consider super achievers in my immediate life and the life that I have grown to know. I have grown up listening to my late father's childhood in a remote village in Khajuwala district near Bikaner. It takes about 3.5 hours from Bikaner by bus to get there, which I've done as a kid in my winter vacations. Where he grew up without the basic aids of water, electricity, or the privilege of time to play as a kid should have. He used to till the land, go farming with my late grandmother, shoulder to shoulder with her in the fields, in the hot sun, and then walk miles to study in the night under a lamp, which was the only lamp available in that village, in that area at the time. After earning scholarships post years of this self-taught life, he graduated from the Jaipur University in mechanical engineering as a top-ranking student, went on to the Indian Military Academy, and earned the Sword of Honor on passing out from there. He remained throughout his schooling, training, and serving years in the army as a top-ranking officer with a flawless record and an immaculate reputation and respect to go with that. Now, if you look at his story, it could be the story of many thousands and lakhs and more gentlemen and women coming out of that generation. They were not privileged. Anyone self-made, anyone with a life goal had to go through a lot of struggles. They did not have the amenities and the facilities that most of us have grown up with, at least I did. If I look at it from the outside, it's nothing that extraordinary. He did it for himself. He didn't know anything else. But I feel that having watched him as a father figure and having seen the determination he had as a human being, for me has inspired me for a lifetime to come. And I did not have many years with him. He passed on when I was really very young. So what I learned from him was never stop at anything. Do not let anybody tell you what you cannot do. I remember, we were posted in Patiala, and we were running short on time, and I had to quickly take an examination and get admission in the one school that had the one seat at that time, which he wanted me to be in. Yadvindra Public School. It's one of the best schools I've been to. And I remember a conversation that was, I was privy to And he was asked that, oh, this is an entrance examination. There are about 300 plus kids being taking it. There's just one seat. What are you going to do? I mean, do you have a plan B? And I recall that I was going to be appearing for an entrance examination for the 5th standard. And I recall him saying, there is one seat, and that's enough. And that kind of stunned, scared, and empowered me at that tender age of 9 or 10. And it gave me, the wings of the butterfly that I hope to be one day. That I could take that flight, and I could dare to dream for that one seat that I thought that belonged to me. A small little story, but for me, it came only from a hard-earned life from the most incredible man that I knew at that age. A super achiever for me. Coming to my grandmother, grand old lady, 87 years of age, got married at the age of 14 in Pakistan. Mother to 6, only 4 of which survived. She's lived all of her life up until the age of 78 or 79, serving all of us, including my late grandmother, my late grandfather. And, she's any grandmother. She cooks like a dream. She looks beautiful and graceful. She's got a wicked sense of humor, which most of us have to apologize for a lot in many family gatherings. A remarkable old lady with the sharpest pair of eyes I know. And we were very worried when my grandfather passed away because we thought that this is the only life she's ever known. She's uneducated, could not read, can't really step out in the real world as such. Her world and her domain is literally just the kitchen and the living room and us and the stories we bring back to her. To our surprise and shock, really, she has lived the best years of her life post this life-changing event that happened to her. The sheer zest for life that she has, the fact that she genuinely is that living example of age is just a number for me. She cooks, she cleans everything on her own, she washes her own clothes, doesn't let anybody touch anything because she doesn't trust anyone else with what she thinks she's the best at. She wants to know what products I'm using at all times, checks my bag to make sure that I'm not lying, whether it's skincare or hair care, or she wants to look the best that, any 87-year-old can look. She has this whole thing going that, people don't think and believe for a second that she's 87, and she's not about to give that up anytime soon. I love her to death, and I love her enthusiasm, and she's one of the most amazing, incredible women I know. She's made the most of her life in spite of all adversities, any and everything that, a woman that age has seen. A super achiever to me, again. I'll come to my house help, this 50-something-year-old woman called Sunanda. She's worked with me for about 10 years now. Diligent woman. Yesterday marked the 3rd death anniversary of her 26-year-old daughter, who died in a freak accident in Mumbai while she was on her way to her aunt's place, her Masi's place, with a box of sweets on a scooty. In an unfortunate accident, her scooty got bumped over by a bus, and she died instantly. A kid who was being sent to Paris on a scholarship by the company she worked for. And I'm talking about an income group that can barely afford 3 good meals on a good day. I'm talking about a kid who spoke better English than most of us here. I've spoken to her on the phone a few times. I've never met her. She was the only earning member of her family, of my maid's family. Understandably so, her world had fallen apart. She wished on many days that I have spoken to her that she didn't want to live any longer. And I have seen her come out of that black hole and that curse of having to lose and recover from an injury that is described as the worst sort of loss any woman or any parent can incur. And I have seen her recover from that to a point where she works harder today than she ever has. She is back on her 2 feet, wanting to be out there in the world in every capacity that she possibly can be. Goes to church, hasn't lost faith in God. All things that I found unbelievable as an observation. Putting myself in her position, I do not know what I would have done. I'll now come to my mother, who for me is one of the biggest achievers that have inspired me in all my living and growing years up to date. She had to raise 2 little girls from the age of 35 onwards, having lost her husband. She was fearless in spite of being a housewife, which is most often considered as not really a job. I mean, something that every woman does. It's second nature. But I feel that it's one of the biggest, most incredible, incredible duties, incredible amount of duties that a woman has to fulfill in a life. The kind of roles they have to play, being a mother, being a sister, being a daughter, being a wife. She's done absolutely everything that a superwoman possibly can to allow me to go to Bombay, the big bad world of Bollywood, as they call it, as much as I hate that word, to be there, to just do my thing, in spite of being out there for the expectations of being either a doctor or a scientist or an astronaut, or any of these professions which are far more respectable than being an actor to a service class society. She's given me the courage I needed. She's given me every bit of inspiration that I needed. The biggest super achiever I know in my life. Why I name all these people close to my life, they're nameless, faceless people for all of you here, is because when I look for inspiration in my day-to-day life, I look at the people who touch me and my life on a daily basis, without fail. Whether in their presence or in their absence, these are the people that never fail me. Kirti Jayakumar, Navika Kumar, Patricia Thomas, Poonam Soni, Usha Kiran, Priyanka Kumawat, Hemlata Singh, Manju Yadav, Narmada Devi ji. My heartfelt congratulations to you and gratitude for being one of those faces and giving us all the courage and the beacon of hope and light that, honestly, I mean, there is no stopping at anything. You just have to dream it, conceive, believe, and achieve. So thank you. I close by one quote that I found. I don't know who it's by, but it's lovely. It says that achievers are those who've redefined the impossible, changing what can't be done into a work in progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Nimrit. You have a beautiful voice. We truly enjoyed the many beautiful messages from the stories about the people in your life delivered in that very beautiful voice. Thank you so much. May I now request Ms. Minal Jain, our chairperson, for her final address.
I thought you took away my speech. Nirjaji, Nimrit, and Shamal, your words are million inspirations and will be frequently remembered by all of us here today. Thank you so much. I would like to thank our founder chairperson and past president FLO, Ms. Neeta Bujra, for all her support and guidance. I would also like to thank all our past chairpersons, special mention to Indraji and Alka for being here always. And Indraji has come all the way from Delhi to be here today. How can I make my thank you complete without the mention of my executive and working committee? This year would not have been possible without you burning the midnight oil with me. I would like to sincerely thank our sponsors, glance windows, dealers of premium aluminum and UPVC doors and windows, Vastukar Furnitures, Vihana Pretware, White Peacock, marbles and sculptures, Ms. Seema Agarwal for her support, House of Embellishments. Like to thank Innovations, Chopra's, Nagpal Exhibitions and Conferences for their support today. Members maketh FLO. FLO members need a special mention for their continuous encouragement and participation. A huge round of applause for all our members. My heartfelt thanks to my family, my husband Atul, for being there, watching my back for all the midnight filter coffees. And lastly, would like to thank our friends from the electronic media, print media for your tremendous support always. I request the entire working committee, executive committee to come on the dais for a group picture.
May I now request our founder chairperson and past president FLO, Neeta Bhutra ji, and our chairperson Minal Jain to kindly present a memento to our esteemed guests. May I now request Neeta ji to please speak a few words.
As Neeta ji, you said that each and every one of us is a millennial woman. So I think, rightly said, let's applaud ourselves. FLO Jaipur chapter is unique in its vibrancy and vitality. I think our guest speakers will agree on that one. It's a vibrant chapter, and if I may say, highly respected amongst all our pan-India chapters. And the credit goes to all its young and creative leaders and to each and every member. That's what it is all about, you know. Excellence will follow excellence. The year gone by was noticeable, notable, and we need to congratulate Minal and her entire team who was here with us, all of you, for making it happen. Today, old order changeth, yielding place to new. So, what I say is that the dream that I cherished, when I feel it's been truly happened much more than we could have asked for when we were setting up the chapter. So thank you to each and every one of you. Especially feel excited when we meet so many women outside this room and they say that, you know, there has been a superb growth in their personal and professional graph through all the interactions, all the learnings that they have had here at FLO. And skilling, I think something which empowers all of us is our own money in our pocket. So empowering 500 women, skilling them all, congratulations, Minal. It was fantastic. I think superb. And each and every event was unique. So I think you lived up to the motto of unlimited you. Yeah? The audience agrees? There was unlimited, unique opportunities for each and every one of us to reinvent ourselves. Natasha, where are you? Yeah, Natasha. Having known you very much from the FLO's inception, I think you'll add not only one, but many dimensions to FLO. Congratulations. Now, on the strength of each link in a cable, dependeth the might of the chain. So, all the stalwarts who have built FLO are here present. So, may I invite Indira, Shafila, Alka, Apra, Preeti, all on stage, or on the dais here. And also one thing which you just said, let's all become the champions of our lives. I think that is what we all need to do. Yes, rightly so, Minal. In so many sessions, you've always pointed out the unlimited you, the potentials for unlimited you, to reinvent ourselves, and 1,000 ways that we can reinvent ourselves and bring out that unlimited you in ourselves. विकल्प बहुत मिलेंगे राह भटकाने के लिए, हम सभी को विकल्प बहुत मिलेंगे राह भटकाने के लिए, संकल्प एक ही काफ़ी है, संकल्प एक ही काफ़ी है लक्ष्य तक पहुंचाने के लिए.
I now request the incoming chair, Ms. Natasha Chaudia, to kindly come on the stage for the change of guard ceremony. We celebrate the end of a great year under the aegis of Minal Jain and a new one beginning under the leadership of Natasha Chaudia. We all look forward to this new year with anticipation and excitement. I welcome Natasha to the dais for her acceptance speech.
Thank you so much, Neetaji, and thank you, Minal. Dear friends, I feel extremely honored and fortunate to accept the responsibility of Chairperson, FLO Jaipur chapter in its 12th year. First, I would like to congratulate Minal for a wonderful year of beautifully amalgamated events touching various aspects of life. You have not only been a pillar of strength to me, but also a strong inspiration whom I have always looked up to. I thank Neetaji, the founder chairperson of FLO, for bringing FLO to Jaipur and giving us a platform to connect with each other. Many thanks to Shafila ji for making me a part of a team from where I began my journey of commitment towards FLO. It has been an overwhelming pleasure to work and learn with all the past chairs. Thank you so much, everyone. I am Natasha Chaudia from Indore, with a socially active background, married to Avant Chaudia, and mother of two most adorable kids, Arnav and Avisha. I'm the director in Guman Impex Private Limited and currently heading the Business Development Division. I was always someone who would be happy, very happy, being around my family and friends. But FLO became an enriching part of my personality. It gave me wings to magnify my efforts and strength, that I can walk an extra mile for the betterment of others. I can reach out to those who are in need and support those who are in lead for an enlightening future. I thank my family for the unparalleled support to help me attain my dreams and my friends who have always been there for me. I promise to deliver an enthralling and inspiring year with my committed, enthusiastic and dynamic team. We will leave no stone unturned to make it an impactful year. I wholeheartedly welcome all the new members and the ones who have been a part of FLO. I would just like to quote, "We are what we believe, so believe in yourself, your efforts, your hard work, and there is nothing that you can't achieve." In the end, I would like to thank our esteemed guests for their gracious presence. I would also like to thank all our awardees for their efforts and time. Last but not the least, special thanks to all our members for your valuable time and making this a memorable event. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
श्वेता चोपड़ा, वंदना परनामी, शोभना थवानी, नेहा ढड्डा, रघुश्री पोदार, सुरभि बैद, स्वाति अग्रोया, ऋतु लूनिया, ऋतु लूनिया, नमिता जैन, शीतल अग्रवाल, रिमी शेखावत, डॉक्टर रिमी शेखावत, सीमा अग्रवाल, श्रुति डड्डा, रुचिका दूत, सुमनजी डागा, खुशबू मेहता, सलोनी रावत, रिंकू जोशी, यही बोल,
नेहा अरोरा,